Hello everyone, it's me Uncle Jan. Today I am going to read S6 6055 Insect Invaders. Chapter 1. Make way for Spot and Wally, I said. I carried a tissue box carefully into Miss Frizzle's classroom. Kids were all over the place, putting away jackets and lunches and books. I was lucky to get to my desk without anyone knocking the box out of my hands. You gave names to your tissues, Tim said, staring at the box. That's weird. This is Miss Frizzle's class, Carlos pointed out. Around here, weird is normal. Don't remind me, groaned Arnold. But those are still strange names for tissues, Keisha said. They would be strange names for tissues, but Spot and Wally were perfect names for my pet ladybugs. I held out the box so everyone could see. Cool, said Dorothea. We usually just call her DA. She looked through the screen I had taped across the opening of the box. Behind this, Spot and Wally crawled around some leaves. They looked like tiny red balls with black spots, legs, and antennae. I didn't know ladybugs could be pets, Keisha said. Well, I'm not exactly sure how to take care of Spot and Wally, I admitted. I just found them in my backyard yesterday. I don't even know what they eat. I brought them in so I could find out more about them. You're not the only one with bugs on the brain, Wanda, said Tim. Check out Miss Frizzle's outfit. The Freeze had just walked into our classroom. Maybe I should say the buzz. I should say she buzzed in with those fake antennas sticking out of her headband and pictures of dragonflies, beetles, and other bugs on her overalls. She looked a lot like an insect herself. As usual, Liz, the class lizard, was on her shoulder. The teachers never bugged out at my old school, said Phoebe, but I was glad to see all those creatures. If there was anyone who could tell me how to care for Spot and Wally, it was the Freeze. I hurried over and showed her my ladybugs. I can do better than tell you about ladybugs, Wanda, said the Freeze. I can show you. All of a sudden, Miss Frizzle got the look, the one that tells us she has a far-out field trip in mind for us. We all knew what was coming next. To the bus, everyone, she said. A trip to the park is just what we need to get intimate with insects. All right, I exclaimed. I put my ladybug's box in my backpack, leaving the zipper partly open so Spot and Wally would have enough air. Then I headed for the bus with everyone else. It wasn't until we all buckled in that we realized Ralphie was missing. I couldn't imagine why he was late to school. He finally came running up, holding a glass tank. Since we are studying insects, I brought my insect pet to share with the class. He said I couldn't believe what was inside the tank. The biggest, brownest, hairiest spider I had ever seen. Looking at it made me shiver, but Ralphie acted as if that creepy crawler was as cuddly as a teddy bear. This is Fang, my tarantula, he said proudly. I just got him at the Paw and Claw pet shop. It's a tarantula. Tarantula has hairy legs, 8 eyes, and a hairy body that's tan, reddish-brown, dark brown, or black. Tarantulas are the longest living spiders on the planet. Some live to be more than 20 years old. They are big too. An adult tarantula can have a leg span of more than 10 inches. Tarantulas live in warm areas all around the world. Ralphie, spiders aren't insects, said D.A. Ralphie sure looked surprised to hear that. To tell you the truth, so was I. They are not, I said. D.A. took a book about insects from her backpack. Spiders are arachnids. They are relatives of insects. she explained, but they are a totally different kind of arthropod. Arthropod. What's in a name? Scientists have a special system for classifying creatures in the animal kingdom. Animals are placed in different groups depending on whether they are warm-blooded or cold-blooded, have backbones or not, and many other things. Then every animal is given a scientific name that indicates in which group it belongs. Insects and arachnids both belong to a group of animals called arthropods, said Miss Frizzle. All arthropods have exoskeletons. Exo what? Ralphie asked. Exoskeleton, the Frizz said again. Skeletons they wear outside their bodies rather than inside. Arthropods, arachnids, exoskeletons, all those names were making my head ache. I just want to know what to feed my ladybugs, I said. And you will, Wanda, Miss Frizzle promised, but getting acquainted with insects is an important first step, don't you think? Insect versus arachnid. They are related, but there are big differences. Insects have 6 legs, while spiders have 8, and spiders don't have antennae or wings. She took a poster from the glove compartment while Miss Frizzle drove. Liz held up the poster for us to see. So, said Keisha, if you have an arthropod with 3 main body parts, 6 legs, and antenna, it's an insect. Like Spot and Wally, I added. You've got it, said Miss Frizzle. Ladybugs belong to a group of insects called beetles. But Fang has 8 legs, 2 main body parts, and no antenna or wing, said Lappy. So he's an arachnid, right again. By the time we finished learning the difference between insects and spiders, we were already at the park. Miss Frizz pulled the magic school bus to a stop right next to a wide grassy lawn. It was surrounded by woods on one side and a pond on the other side. Even from inside the bus, I could see dragonflies and other insects buzzing around. This is the place to learn about bugs. All right, said Phoebe. Everyone piled out. I held my backpack in my arms so I could keep an eye on Spot and Wally. That must be why I didn't notice Ralphie getting off the bus at the same time I did. Wham! We crashed into each other and tumbled off the bus. My backpack went flying. So did Fang's tank. Ralphie's baseball cap shot through the air. Everything landed in a big heap on the grass, including Ralphie and me. It took me a moment to realize that Spot and Wally's box had fallen out of my backpack and that the screen had popped off. My ladybugs are gone, I cried. But when I thought about it, I wasn't too upset. Maybe they need to be back in nature. What about Fang? Asked Carlos. Does he need to be in nature too? I saw the Fang's glass tank was on its side. Pebbles from the bottom spilled out onto the grass. So did Fang. Ouch, that's what I said. Catch him, leaving his head in the grass. Ralphie scrambled after the tarantula, but it was too late. Fang scuttled into the tall grass on his 8 long legs. In an instant, he was gone from sight. This is bad, Ralphie said, frowning. Tarantulas are used to warm weather. It could get cold soon, and what will he eat? What does Fang usually eat? Asked Keisha. All spiders are predators, Ralph told us. They hunt out animals for food. I didn't like the sound of that, not one bit. What kinds of animals? Insects, mostly. Crickets, grasshoppers, beetles. I gasped. Miss Frizzle, didn't you just tell me ladybugs are a kind of beetles? I said, what if Spot and Wally become Fang's lunch? Chapter 2. All of a sudden, leaving my ladybugs in nature didn't seem like such a good idea. I had to do something, anything, to make sure Spot and Wally didn't turn into spider food. Don't worry, Wanda. Fang just ate a cricket this morning. He's probably not even hungry, Rafa told me. He looked around with worried eyes. My dad warned me not to bring Fang. What if he bites someone? What if he is lost forever? We need to find Fang and the ladybug, DA said. Then we'll know everyone is okay. Good news and bad news about tarantulas. DA always had big ideas. How were we supposed to find two tiny ladybugs and a spider in that humongous park? I should have known the freeze would have a plan. Not to worry, she told us. It's like I always say, the best way to find the beetle is to be a beetle. Back on the bus, everyone. Ralphie and I were in such a hurry to find our pets that we didn't bother to pick up our backpacks. Ralph even left his baseball cap in the grass. As soon as we were all on board, the freeze pushed the button on the dashboard. The magic school bus shrank down to the size of a bug. And that was just the beginning. Hey, the bus is sprouting legs, said Tim. They looked out the window. 6 of them, she said. Not to mention 3 main body parts and 2 antennas. We are an insect. Not just any insect. We are a tiger beetle. See our special hardware, said Miss Frizzle. She moved the lever, and a pair of hard, shiny green wings curved out from the top of the bus. The beetles are tough. All beetles have 4 wings, the freeze told us. They're elytra are for protection. They use their more flexible wings to fly. I was happy to know Spot and Wally had the polka dot pattern to protect them wherever they were. If only I knew how to find them. Miss Frizzle seemed to read my mind. Now all we have to do to find your pets is find the food. I mean, if we can find the kind of food ladybugs and spiders eat, we'll find Spot, Wally, and Fang, asked Carlos. Miss Frizzle grinned. Absolutely. So let's get dirty. Take chances. It's time to find our bugs. Then the freeze pressed another button and the bus darted off toward the woods. It zigzagged back and forth over the grass, just like a tiger beetles. Tiger beetles get around. Let me tell you, things looked really different from a beetle's point of view. Every blade of grass was as tall as a tree. The clouds of dirt were like huge boulders, and the actual trees were gigantic. The Beetlejuice at 4 o'clock, called him, as Miss Frizzle steered the magic beetle bus between the trees. Dozens of shiny green tiger beetles scuttled around in a clearing. They weren't alone either, not by a long shot. Lots of ants, caterpillars, spiders, and other bugs crawled nearby on the leaves, dirt, and branches. I wasn't sure I liked being around crawling creatures. They were just as big as we were, but I had to find Spot and Wally. Okay, we found some tiger beetles, but where is their food? I wondered. Just then, a tiger beetle ran right in front of us, chasing a brown striped spider. Does that answer your question? Asked DA. Ralphie frowned. I hope Fang stays away from tiger beetles, he said. DA showed us a page in her insect book. It says here that tiger beetles are predators like spiders, he said. They hunt other insects and arthropods for food. Other insects? I repeated. Like ladybugs, insects do have a tendency to eat one another, said Miss Frizzle. It's a bug-eat-bug world out there, said Carlos. Arnold covered his ears with his hands. That's more than I want to know. But the freeze went on. The ladybugs have ways of defending themselves against predators, even against other beetles. I sure was glad to hear that. According to my research, ladybugs and other beetles give off a bad smell that helps keep predators away, DA said. Phoebe, they crinkled up her nose. I never thought making a stink could be a good thing, she said, but I guess it is if it keeps predators from eating you. It says in my book that ladybugs will play dead when there's a predator around, too. The A went on. That's because lots of predators won't attack an insect that isn't moving. All of a sudden, I saw something that was moving, something red and black that flew up out of some wildflowers at the edge of the clearing. It's Spot and Wally, I said. Uh-huh, Miss Frizzle steered the bus across the ground toward the flower. That was when we noticed the ants, red ants, way more than I could ever count. They looked like a red carpet that swarmed over the ground. Oh no, breathed Keisha. But Miss Frizzle looked as if we had it. We had just hit the insect jackpot. Those ants are doing exactly what they should be, she said, hunting for food. No wonder Spot and Wally flew out of here, Tim said. They don't want to be eaten. Arnold's face turned a pale greenish color. Neither do I, he said. The ants looked like an army of scary six-legged aliens. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that every single one of those creatures was marching straight toward us. Chapter 3. Hold on to your seat, said the Freeze. We're going to buzz out of here. She pushed the lever on the dashboard, and the two hard elytra on top of the bus spread out. The magic beetle bus leaped into the air and used its second pair of wings to fly out of reach of the ants. The teachers at my old school never told us to buzz off, said. I'm just glad we are safe. DA breathed a sigh of relief. Having wings is definitely handy for getting away from predators on the prowl and for chasing down lost ladybugs, I said. And Fang, Ralph reminded us, as the magic beetle bus buzzed through the air. We all looked out the window. Uh-oh, Carla said, pointing back to where the ants swarmed over the ground. I don't see any ladybugs or Fang, but look at that caterpillar. There is no way it can get away from the ants. Down on the ground, a green caterpillar tried to wriggle away, but it just couldn't get up enough speed. The ants were all over it in a second. What's happening? Tim asked. The ants are stinging the caterpillar. The sting contains a venom, Miss Frizzle told us. When several of the ants have stung the caterpillar, the poison is strong enough to kill it. That's how ants kill prey that's so much bigger than they are. I felt bad about leaving the poor caterpillar, but we had a mission. I can't believe Spot and Wally disappeared again, I said. We've got to find them and Fang. Using our elytra and flying wings, the magic beetle bus flew from branch to branch. I bet we searched every bush and flower in the woods, but did we find our pets? No such luck. Look, Tim pointed toward the ground below a tree branch where Miss Frizzle landed the magic beetle bus. Aren't those the ants we saw before? He asked. It was the red ants, all right. They still had the caterpillar. That huge creepy crawler seemed way too big to carry, but the ants had moved it out of the woods. They managed to lift and drag it by using the mandibles. Why didn't the ants just eat the caterpillar where they found it? Ralphie asked. Carrying that gigantic thing looks like a lot of work. The caterpillar will be food for all the ants in the colony. Miss Frizzle said, when ants catch prey, they take it back to their nest for everyone to share. I get it. Ants work together to make sure the entire colony grows and stays healthy, Carlos said. Right you are, Carlos. Ants are some of the best team players in the insect world, said the Freeze. They are small, but when they join forces, they do big work. They live and work together. Ants are social insects that live in groups called a colony. Different ants have different jobs. Ants can do big work, like killing that caterpillar for food, said Tim. Down below us, the ants carried the caterpillar toward a big mound of sticks and leaves and dirt heaped against the side of an old tree stump. Is that their nest? Arnold asked. Miss Frizzle gave a contented nod. Inside that ant hill, thousands of ants are hard at work, taking care of ant eggs. Hatching eggs need lots of food to grow and change into adult ants. I had no idea insects went through so many changes. I just hope Spot and Wally don't change into bug food, I said. Miss Frizzle hit the gas, and the magic beetle bus flew off again. But instead of seeing my ladybugs or Ralphie's tarantula, we saw a bunch of really tiny insects. There were hundreds of them swarming all over some nearby flower stem. Those bugs you see are aphids, explained Miss Frizzle. They are sucking sap from the flower stems for food. It's nice to see some insects still eat plants instead of eating other bugs. Actually, Keisha, the freeze began, aphids cause a lot of problems for gardeners and farmers. Their eating habits can kill plants and trees. I could tell that we could spend the whole day learning about insects, but I was more interested in finding insects. My ladybugs are still missing in action. I was just about to remind Miss Frizzle about our pets when she started talking to herself. If we are going to find Fang and the ladybug, I think we need more eye power, Miss Frizzle said. When I saw the sparkle in her eyes, I knew the freeze had something special in mind. Boy, was I right. Class, it's time for a little metamorphosis. The end.